The idea of your life did not emanate from you. You were entrusted with it. That brings the question, are you making the most of your life? Hi, welcome back to this channel where you are encouraged and motivated to do what you came for. What we're going to be discussing today is something I've previously discussed on this channel, but I just got a prompt again to talk about it. And I feel like it's something that cannot be talked about enough. It really changes how you view life, how you approach life, how you show up to life, and in the end, your general sense of fulfillment and joy. So yes, what was the prompt? This book by Tolulope Muki, I've got a life in my hand. I was reading this book on the bus, came across a particular line that literally slapped me. I just could not scream because I felt like I would look like a mad person in the bus, and I'm not about to be looking like a mad person. So let me read it for you to prepare to be slapped. The idea of my life did not emanate from me. I was entrusted with it. I can have a great 10-year plan that impresses me but disappoints God. We can be doing life, and then are we really matching up to the expectation of God? The life that we have, the life that we live is not ours, it is entrusted with us. And that brings up the concept of stewardship. And stewardship basically is just the idea that you were entrusted with something and you are not the owner of that thing. The owner of that thing would definitely still come back to ask, oh, what's the update? How did this go? What did you do with what was given to you by me? Like Rick Warren would say, life is a test, it is a trust, and it is a temporary assignment. Are we actually making the most of our lives? Are you making the most of your life? Because that is what is expected of a steward. A steward is expected to bring out the best possible outcome or the best value out of what was given to them. Not manufacture things that were not given to them, but out of what was actually entrusted into your hands to actually bring out the best. This reminds me of an analogy I always think about and was also mentioned in this book, of how you can write an exam and then based on what you wrote, you feel like, if I don't get 90 over 100 in this exam, I don't know what the teacher is doing. And you start telling your friends that, how was your exam? How was your exam? Like, you killed it. And then after you get your results, that you realize that your performance or success is not really determined on your opinion of your performance, but actually what the teacher had in mind, what the marking guide said. Success for a steward will look like making the most of the life that God has given you based on what God had in mind when He gave you the life. But to break it down and kind of make it more practical, I want us to think about it in different areas. First is time that we have been given. The time that we have is not ours, it's an entrustment from God, and God expects you to make the best use of your time. When I say this, it can seem like, oh, okay, that means I need to be working 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. or I really need to lock in, like no distractions, like. But it looks different in different seasons and at different times. Sometimes making the best use of your time might be actually taking time to rest so that you can be more productive. It might be investing in your friendships, it might be investing in your family, and sometimes it might look like serious long hours of work. I think that the question that can guide you to know if you're making the most use of your time is, what does the use of my time show about my priorities? What does the use of my time show about the things that I actually value? Second is your talents, your giftings, your skills, natural abilities. Those things are also not yours. They are an entrustment. Think of God as an investor. As an investor, you put in resource, you put in money, or you put in time, or you put in whatever it is, but you expect to get returns based on what you invested. Making the most of your giftings looks like being aware of the gifts that you have. Also, it looks like developing those gifts and then using it to serve others, not hiding it, not leaving it dormant, not leaving it unrefined. That's not making the best use of your gifting. So right now, let's take a moment to think about it. If you're with a journal, if you're with a pen, something you can journal about later. Just think about these words. Am I making the most of my life? Think about the giftings that you have. Think about the time that you have. Think about the opportunities, the relationships, the friendships that you have. If possible, write out these things that you have. Oh, I know how to sing, or I have learned video editing, or I have 24 hours in a day. I think it's helpful to write it out because the first step really is to be aware of it and then start to really question, like honestly think about it. Based on what I know that God has given me, Am I making the most of it? I think that constantly thinking about this and being aware of the things that you have, and also just pursuing life with this question at the back of your mind, will help you to be a good, wise, and faithful steward. When we're talking about making the most of your time, it might seem like, oh, how am I supposed to know what I'm supposed to be doing? Or how am I supposed to know what making the most of my life and my time looks like at this particular point? I came across a video on Instagram where someone was basically saying that there's one question you can ask God that He always has answers to. And that question is, God, what is in your heart for me? What do you have in your heart for me at this particular season of my life? I think it's encouraging to know that you can always ask God. You can always go up to God and say, God, in this time that I am, with these resources that you've given me, what do you see for me to do? What is on your heart for me at each and every time? And I think this would be a good moment to also do that. You could pause the video, or by the time the video ends, just ask God, God, what do you have for me this season? What's your heart for me? What do you see? What will make it the most of my life look like? Because it's actually the one that gives us the life, and so he's the best person to go to for clarity and for instruction and for wisdom. Keep this question in your mind. Am I making the most of my life? And really, it is not about perfection. It is more about intentionality. Don't forget, do what you came for.